Imagine being married to someone for over 30 years only to wake up one day and realize that the relationship has fractured beyond repair. For Mary Brown, this wasn't just a wake-up call. It was the beginning of an emotional and legal battle that would shake the very foundations of her family. After decades of feeling sidelined and overlooked by Cody, she made the shocking decision to walk away from her marriage in 2024. But that's not where the drama ends. The Brown family, once united under the notion of plural marriage, is now falling apart at the seams. What was meant to be a life of shared values, unity, and love has descended into chaos, with each wife, especially Mary and Janelle, fighting to reclaim their personal autonomy and their rightful place in the family. And it's all happening over a piece of land, Coyote Pass. The land that was once envisioned as a communal dream is now at the center of bitter legal disputes. The tension is thick as Mary and Janelle wrestle with Cody over who truly deserves what, while Cody seems to play favorites, increasingly aligning himself with Robyn, his new wife, while the others feel left behind. Emotions are running high, and the legal battle over Coyote Pass threatens to tear the family apart even further. As alliances shift, friendships dissolve, and the truth about what's been happening behind closed doors comes to light. One thing is clear: the Brown family's unity has shattered, and the aftermath will change everything. Hold on tight, because what you're about to hear is not just about a family's struggle with property. It's about the painful process of seeking independence, finding one's voice, and trying to heal when everything around you seems to be falling apart. Mary Brown's decision to leave Cody after 30 years of marriage was nothing short of a bombshell. Fans of Sister Wives had seen the ups and downs of their relationship play out on TV for years, but the moment Mary made the choice to walk away, it hit hard for viewers who never thought this moment would come. Mary had always been portrayed as the devoted wife, the one who stood by Cody's side even when things got tough. But behind the scenes, there was so much more going on, so much pain, isolation, and heartache that many of us didn't see until it all unfolded. For years, Mary seemed to live in the shadow of Cody's other wives, especially Robyn, who had increasingly become the focal point of Cody's attention. Fans watched as Mary struggled with being the outcast in the family, her emotional needs often ignored, and her voice stifled. The catfishing scandal in 2015 only added fuel to the fire, with Mary's emotional and mental state taking a major hit. But when the time came, Mary finally made the bold decision to put herself first. She was done being the one who always gave and never received, and that's when everything began to change. Hiring a lawyer was the defining moment for Mary. For someone who had spent so many years trying to keep the peace, trying to stay in the background, this act was a turning point. It wasn't just about securing her financial future or her fair share of Coyote Pass property. It was about taking back control of her life. For so long, Mary had been a passive participant in the family's plans, often overshadowed by Cody's decisions and the family dynamic. But hiring a lawyer to fight for what was hers was a sign that she was no longer willing to be silenced. She was no longer going to stand by as a passive observer. She was actively taking steps to carve out her own future. The decision to fight for her share of Coyote Pass wasn't just a legal move, it was deeply emotional. For Mary, this property symbolized more than just a piece of land. It represented the dreams she had bought into for decades. Cody had promised that Coyote Pass would be a family venture, a place where they could all thrive together. But the reality was much different. The division of land was far from fair, and Mary, who had already felt neglected and pushed aside, was left with what felt like crumbs. The property dispute was a painful reminder of the many ways she had been left behind in her marriage. She was fighting for a piece of land, yes, but also for a piece of her dignity, her respect, and her voice. When Mary looks back on the years spent with Cody, it's clear that the pain of being left behind wasn't just about the physical distance. It was about the emotional disconnection. Cody, in many ways, had already moved on emotionally, giving more of his time, attention, and energy to Robyn. Mary was left to deal with the aftermath, feeling rejected and undervalued. That pain was what led her to make the ultimate decision to leave, to finally take the hard step of accepting that the life she had envisioned with Cody no longer existed. The emotional toll was massive, but in that moment, Mary chose to stand up for herself. By hiring a lawyer and taking the fight over Coyote Pass seriously, she was no longer just a wife in the background, she was an individual, and she was reclaiming her autonomy. The process was emotional and draining, but it was necessary. Mary had to fight not just for her share of the land, but for her own sense of self-worth. The pain of feeling forgotten and left behind was finally transforming into the strength to fight for what she deserved. She wasn't just taking control of the property, she was taking control of her own life. And that, above all, was the most powerful decision she could have made. Coyote Pass, a name that for so long symbolized hope, unity, and the future of the Brown family. This piece of land, initially purchased with dreams of creating a shared family compound, has now become a battleground. The vision of a life lived together as one big, happy family has been slowly crumbling under the weight of legal disputes, resentment, and inequality. The land, once meant to bring the Browns together, has only driven them further apart. For Mary, the issues surrounding Coyote Pass were more than just a financial dispute. They represented everything that had gone wrong in her marriage to Cody. The land was supposed to be a joint venture, a place where all of the Browns could create a home, but the reality has been far from that ideal. As we've seen in the episodes, there is a lot of tension and bitterness surrounding the property's division. Cody's handling of it has sparked frustration and anger, particularly from Mary, who feels like she's been left behind once again. The most glaring issue, of course, is the way the land has been divided. Cody, having more control over the situation, has made decisions that Mary and Janelle believe are unfair. With Mary already feeling alienated within the family, the unequal distribution of land only deepened her sense of exclusion. It felt like another betrayal. A sign that Cody wasn't interested in keeping his promises. And for Mary, this was the tipping point. She could no longer accept being treated as though she didn't matter. The decision to seek legal help wasn't just about the land itself. It was about standing up for herself in a situation that she felt had been rigged against her from the start. Janelle, too, found herself at odds with Cody over the property. She wasn't as vocal as Mary, but it was clear that she shared similar frustrations. Janelle had already experienced her own struggles in the family, and the way the land was divided added another layer of tension. She too felt like an afterthought, and the increasing number of legal and emotional issues within the family made her question everything. It wasn't just about who got what on Coyote Pass, it was about the deeper emotional wounds that Cody had inflicted over the years. For Janelle, the division of the land served as a harsh reminder of how little control she had in her own life and in her relationship with Cody. But what's even more telling is the impact the situation had on the family as a whole. As Mary and Janelle fought for what they felt was rightfully theirs, tensions within the family began to rise. Cody, in particular, struggled to manage the growing discord. His role as the leader and the man who was supposed to keep the family together felt increasingly untenable. His emotional distance from the other wives, particularly Mary, and his favoritism towards Robyn only made things worse. The property dispute wasn't just about land, it was about power. And as we've seen over the years, Cody has never been particularly skilled at managing the power dynamics within his family. For the fans watching, it's hard to ignore the fact that this land dispute has been a mirror to the deeper issues within the Brown family. Coyote Pass was supposed to be a place of unity, a symbol of the family's dreams and ambitions. Instead, it has become a glaring symbol of everything that has gone wrong. The bitterness surrounding the land's division is more than just about money. It's about feeling invisible, disregarded, and unimportant in a family that once promised equality and respect. The idea of Coyote Pass is a dream that's gone awry, a dream that many of the wives have had to confront. And now, as Mary and Janelle both take steps to fight for their fair share, they are also fighting for something much deeper: their independence, their dignity, and their voices in a family where they've long been silenced. The question remains, can the family come together to resolve these issues, or will the land and everything it represents continue to drive a wedge between them all? As the tension around Coyote Pass and the property disputes escalated, the emotional cracks within the Brown family only became more apparent. What was once a seemingly unified family, bound together by their shared commitment to polygamy and love for each other, was now splintering. The emotional fallout from the ongoing battles over property, control, and love was taking a toll on everyone, particularly the wives and Cody. It's impossible to ignore the growing rift between Cody and his wives, especially as Mary, Janelle, and Christine began to assert their independence. Cody's emotional distance from his wives, particularly Mary, has been a defining feature of the family's unraveling. Mary, once content to stay in a passive role in her marriage, had finally reached a point where she no longer wanted to be in the background. Her legal battle over Coyote Pass and her decision to step away from Cody after 30 years of marriage was not just a legal move, it was a statement. Mary's fight for what she felt was owed to her wasn't just about land, it was about reclaiming her voice, her sense of self-worth, and her place in the family. Janelle, too, had reached her breaking point. Though she hadn't taken the drastic step of filing for divorce like Christine did, her decision to move to North Carolina marked a major shift in her life. She wasn't just relocating, she was stepping away from a marriage that had never truly allowed her to thrive. Moving to start her own flower farm and create a new life wasn't just about escaping Cody's control. It was about reclaiming her sense of autonomy. The move to North Carolina symbolized her desire for freedom, and it became a powerful statement of independence. But the most complicated dynamic of all was the one between Cody and Robyn. Over the years, viewers have seen the deepening bond between Cody and Robyn, with many fans feeling that their relationship has been at the root of the family's problems. While Cody and Robyn's marriage seemed to be as strong as ever, it felt like the other wives were increasingly sidelined. Robyn's role in the family became a focal point of frustration. Many of the wives, particularly Mary, Janelle, and Christine, saw her as a destabilizing force, someone who was creating division rather than unity. However, Robyn maintained that she was doing everything she could to hold the family together, despite the growing division between her and the other wives. Cody's emotional distance and his favoritism towards Robyn only fueled the fire. Mary's decision to leave, Janelle's move to North Carolina, and Christine's eventual decision to divorce all pointed to the same issue: Cody's lack of emotional availability and his inability to balance his relationships with his wives. It was clear that Cody's preference for Robyn over the other wives had become a source of bitterness. The family that once prided itself on unity was now fractured, with each wife struggling to find their place in a family that seemed to have lost its way. For many viewers, it's hard not to feel empathy for the wives as they navigate the increasingly difficult emotional terrain. Mary, Janelle, and Christine all deserve to be seen, heard, and respected. Their journeys of self-discovery and empowerment are inspiring, even as they face the painful reality of a broken family. For Cody, the question remains, can he repair the damage done to his relationships with his wives, or has the division reached a point of no return? This growing rift within the Brown family has left fans captivated, eagerly watching as the wives continue to assert their independence and Cody faces the consequences of his actions. The emotional battles are just as intense as the legal ones, and the family's future remains uncertain. One thing is clear, though: the Brown family will never be the same again. The dynamics have changed forever, and it's going to be a long, painful road ahead for everyone involved. But will Cody be able to change his ways and restore the family's fractured unity? Only time will tell. As the seasons progress, it becomes increasingly clear that Cody Brown's role within his family is under intense scrutiny. Once seen as the authoritative figure who held everything together, Cody's emotional distance from his wives, especially Mary and Janelle, has created a storm of tension and confusion. His inability or unwillingness to connect emotionally with his partners is now one of the most significant sources of conflict in the family. For years, Cody prided himself on being a leader, the one who made the decisions, the one who could keep everything together. But the reality is much different now. The more the family's fractures deepen, the clearer it becomes that Cody's emotional detachment has contributed to the destruction of the unity he once boasted about. It's almost painful to watch how disconnected he's become from his wives, particularly when he seems to prioritize Robyn over everyone else. While his relationship with Robyn continues to thrive, it feels like the emotional ties he once shared with the other wives have been severed. Let's take a closer look at Cody's relationship with Mary. When we first met the Browns, Mary seemed to be the most loyal, the one who was always there for Cody. But in recent years, it's been heartbreaking to see how she's been pushed to the sidelines. Mary, who was once a part of the core foundation of the family, felt completely abandoned by Cody. After decades of being in a marriage with him, she found herself in a position where she had to fight for what was hers, especially when it came to the Coyote Pass property. The pain of feeling left behind by Cody was evident in her decision to hire a lawyer and take legal action. This was more than just a legal issue. It was Mary taking control of her life, reclaiming her dignity, and deciding she deserved more than the emotional neglect she had suffered. Meanwhile, Janelle's struggles with Cody are a bit different, but equally as intense. Janelle's decision to move to North Carolina and start her own flower farm was one of the clearest indications of her breaking free. She no longer wanted to be under Cody's thumb, constantly trying to please him and fit into his vision for the family. The emotional toll of living under his control for so many years was something Janelle could no longer ignore. She wanted freedom, autonomy, and the ability to live a life where she didn't have to constantly fight for Cody's affection or attention. But it's not just the wives who feel the impact of Cody's emotional distance, it's also the children and the family as a whole. Cody's behavior has caused deep rifts, not just between him and his wives, but between him and his own children. His inability to balance his relationships and provide the emotional support his wives and kids needed has left them all in a state of uncertainty. His emotional detachment isn't just a personal flaw, it's one that severely impacted the family dynamic, pushing everyone farther apart. And then there's Robyn. Despite the growing tension, it's hard to ignore how much Cody seems to rely on Robyn for emotional support. Cody and Robyn's relationship has always seemed to be the one that got the most attention, but now it's clear that it's also the one that leaves the other wives feeling isolated and unimportant. Robyn is positioned as Cody's rock, his emotional anchor, while the other wives are left to fend for themselves. The imbalance is hard to ignore, and it's one of the most significant sources of frustration within the family. As Cody's emotional distance continues to widen, it's impossible not to feel the growing weight of his decisions. While his relationship with Robyn may still seem stable, the cracks in his relationship with his other wives are only getting deeper. At this point, the question remains, can Cody confront his emotional shortcomings and repair the damage he's done to his family, or have his actions pushed everyone too far for reconciliation? Whatever happens next, one thing is certain: the emotional fallout from Cody's behavior will shape the future of the Brown family in ways we can't yet fully predict. As the drama between Cody, Mary, Janelle, and the rest of the family continues to unfold, fans of Sister Wives are more invested than ever in the emotional and legal turmoil surrounding the Brown family. It's not just the legal battles over property or the shift in family dynamics that has people glued to their screens. It's the uncertainty. Viewers can feel the tension, and they're left with one burning question: what's going to happen next? Cody's continued emotional distance from his wives and his clear favoritism toward Robyn has sparked an outpouring of opinions from viewers. It's hard to ignore the growing sense of betrayal that's sweeping over fans of the show, especially those who have followed the Browns from the beginning. As Cody seems to grow more and more distant from his wives, particularly Mary and Janelle, the audience has turned to social media to share their thoughts, frustrations, and predictions for what's coming next. It's clear people are invested in these relationships, and they're eager to see what will happen as the family navigates its complex web of emotions, legal disputes, and personal decisions. Many fans have taken sides in this ongoing drama. Some are fiercely defending Mary and Janelle, applauding them for finally taking control of their lives and making bold moves toward independence. They see Mary's decision to hire a lawyer as a sign of strength, a turning point in her journey where she no longer allows herself to be ignored or mistreated. Janelle's move to North Carolina and her new venture into the flower farm business has been celebrated as an example of a woman reclaiming her autonomy and building a future outside of Cody's influence. These fans are rooting for the wives to continue asserting their independence, hoping that they will continue to make choices that benefit their well-being. On the other hand, some viewers are more sympathetic toward Cody. They argue that the challenges he faces in trying to balance his relationships with multiple wives are extremely difficult, and that the ongoing strain between him and his wives is just the inevitable result of a complicated family dynamic. There are those who see Cody's relationship with Robyn as something that's been portrayed as unfair by the other wives, and they believe that the emotional distance between him and the others may not be entirely his fault. But it's not just the legal drama and family dynamics that have sparked so much speculation, it's the future of the show itself. Fans are anxiously awaiting to see if Sister Wives will continue, especially with all the tension surrounding Cody and his wives. As the family struggles become more public, viewers are left wondering how much more they'll get to see of the Brown family and their story. Will they continue to air their dirty laundry on national television? Or will the drama behind the scenes force the family to reconsider their involvement with the show? The suspense is palpable, and everyone has a theory about what could happen next. Will Cody finally realize the damage he's done and try to fix things with Mary and Janelle? Or is he too far gone? Will the wives continue to fight for what they feel is rightfully theirs, both emotionally and legally? The speculation is endless, and it's keeping viewers on the edge of their seats. One thing's for sure. Whatever happens next will be nothing short of explosive. And the viewers, they're more than ready for the next chapter in this emotionally charged saga. The loyalty to the show and to the characters has only grown, and the suspense about the family's future is only making fans more eager for each new episode. It's clear that Sister Wives is far from over, and the drama is only heating up. So the big question remains, will this family ever find a way to heal, or are they too broken to fix? Keep watching, because the best, or maybe the worst, is yet to come. As we come to the end of this emotionally charged journey, the future of the Brown family remains shrouded in uncertainty. After decades of shared struggles, dreams, and heartache, it seems that the once unshakable bond that held Cody, Mary, Janelle, Christine, and Robyn together is unraveling in front of our eyes. But the question is, can this family ever come back from this, or are they destined to be a shadow of what they once were? The tension is impossible to ignore. Cody's emotional detachment, especially toward Mary and Janelle, has led to a rift that seems impossible to bridge. His favoritism towards Robyn has only exacerbated the situation, and the cracks in the family foundation have only deepened. Mary's decision to take charge of her own destiny by hiring a lawyer is a clear indication that she's no longer willing to play second fiddle in this complex family dynamic. The same can be said for Janelle, whose decision to leave and start a new life in North Carolina speaks volumes about how far she's willing to go to distance herself from the toxicity that has taken over her relationships with Cody and the rest of the family. While Mary and Janelle's journeys toward independence are empowering, they're also incredibly painful. For Mary, leaving Cody after 30 years is not just about the property disputes or the emotional neglect. It's about reclaiming a sense of self-worth that she's been denied for so long. Similarly, Janelle's quest for autonomy is not just about finding peace in her own life. It's about freeing herself from a situation where she felt controlled, suffocated, and unheard. Their actions are undeniably empowering, but the emotional toll is still very real. It's a bittersweet victory for both of them, and one that will take time to fully process. But let's not forget about the other side of the equation, Cody and Robyn. While they appear to be unaffected by the chaos swirling around them, there's no denying that their positions in the family are becoming increasingly fragile. Cody's manipulative behavior, especially when it comes to Mary and Janelle, is catching up with him. His emotional distance and the growing resentment from his other wives could eventually come back to bite him. Robyn, too, finds herself at the center of criticism as viewers continue to blame her for the unraveling of the family unit. Is their relationship strong enough to withstand the scrutiny and tensions that are mounting all around them? Only time will tell. At the heart of it all is a deeply emotional struggle for fairness, control, and independence. Cody and Robyn seem determined to keep their own bubble intact, but it's becoming more and more clear that the other wives, Mary, Janelle, and Christine, are no longer willing to be pawns in a game they no longer believe in. They've all experienced different forms of betrayal, manipulation, and emotional neglect, and now they're stepping into their own power, demanding what they deserve. And what about the future of Sister Wives? The show is at a crossroads. The dramatic shift in family dynamics, coupled with the legal and emotional battles, has turned the Browns into a spectacle for viewers. While some are hoping for a reconciliation or some form of healing, others are wondering if the family story has reached its breaking point. Will we see more drama, or will the family find a way to move forward? Could this season be the last for the Brown family, or are we just scratching the surface of their unraveling saga? The truth is, we can't predict what will happen next. But one thing's for sure, Sister Wives has reached a turning point. What happens in the coming episodes will be a defining moment, not just for the family, but for the fans who have supported them throughout the years. Will we get closure, or will the drama continue to unfold? Either way, one thing is certain. We're all invested now, and whatever happens next, we'll be watching. The Brown family's saga is far from over. With the unresolved tension between Cody and his wives, particularly the legal and emotional battles surrounding the Coyote Pass property, it's clear that things are only going to get more intense from here. Mary and Janelle's journeys toward independence have sparked a fire that can't easily be extinguished, while Cody's emotional distance and favoritism continue to strain the fragile relationships he has left. So, what happens next? Will the family find a way to heal, or are they on the brink of total collapse? Will Cody be able to salvage what's left of his family, or will Mary, Janelle, and Christine continue to break free from the control they've long suffered under? The drama is only getting started, and there's no telling where it will lead. If you're as invested in the Brown family as I am, make sure to subscribe, like, and share your thoughts in the comments below. I want to hear what you think about the future of this family. Will they ever come back together, or is it all over? Stay tuned for more updates on the drama, and join me for the next chapter in the Brown family's ongoing saga. You won't want to miss it. Who